Supply chains must be designed for volatility. Supplier relationships matter more than ever. Instead of volatility being the exception, that's going to become the. We're going to see a continued focus on end-to-end traceability and supplier oversight. Evolution of workforce skills is going to impact our factories. We're going to see the workforce have to adapt to continued increasing use of automation and how that impacts the workers on the factory floor. The things that we're going to see and need to be aware of the most are the evolution of the workforce skills, sustainability, and how that impacts not only the product itself, but the packaging that is used to deliver the product, and end-to-end traceability. Those are going to be the biggest trends I think that we are going to focus on, need to focus on in 2026.
Hello and welcome to Supply Chain Signals, brought to you by Insight Quality Services, where we talk about the issues and trends affecting global supply chains and how they affect quality and compliance. I'm Billy Miner and I am joined by Andy Church. And we're almost to the end of 2025. Hard to believe, but true. And now we're looking at 2026. And, how would I characterize 2025? Well, to me, it seemed like kind of a roller coaster of tariffs. There's ups, and then the tariffs are down, and then there's the loop-de-loop, and you're going around a corner, and there's a dark tunnel ahead, and you don't know what's coming up ahead. And I think that a lot of importers are even feeling a little nauseous from this ride. But for our clients, tariffs have been the most impactful thing due to the lack of stability in their supply chains. And the good news is that things do seem to have stabilized a bit here at the end of the year, at least for now. But, we'll have to wait and see what happens in the coming months and the coming year. But Andy, I'd like to get your take on the year and about the lessons learned. So, from your perspective, Andy, what lessons have we learned about global supply chains this year?
Some of the lessons we've learned about the global supply chain in the last year are that supply chains must be designed for volatility. You mentioned roller coasters and being nauseous. I think that many of our clients can relate to that feeling in this last year. Supply chains haven't been very stable. Most multi-sourcing and near sourcing and stress testing have become mainstream. Managing inventory, especially with critical SKUs to ensure that those critical SKUs are in stock, are some of the things that we've seen in this last year with the volatility. Just in time inventory is not something that can be used anymore. Companies are adding just in case buffers. So volatility is something that we have definitely learned to weather in this past year. Another item that I think that we've learned is that nearshoring and reshoring are going to continue and expand, whether that be in Mexico, Central and South America for products from the United States. But definitely the trend with China+1 has become China+Many, looking throughout Southeast Asia to Malaysia, Thailand, Vietnam, and India, looking at what production opportunities may exist in Europe. Supplier relationships matter more than ever. That's another critical element that we've learned over the last year. Collaboration and transparency with your factory partners, with your service providers, such as Insight, as companies look to move production to other countries. Does your service provider, Insight or others, have the infrastructure to meet your quality and audit needs? We're going to continue to see sustainability become more operational. Carbon footprints, traceability are all things that we have learned are going to become mainstream. I think that instead of volatility being the exception, that's going to become the norm.
So you've mentioned volatility there and the steps that a lot of companies are taking to try and diversify their manufacturing to various countries, the China+1s, 2s, 3s, and so on. So what trends, Andy, would you say are happening right now that are going to impact quality control in 2026?
Quality control trends impacting us in 2026 are going to be a continued focus on sustainability. Are eco materials being used to produce your product? Is sustainability packaging being used to transport your product? And what impact, if any, may that have on your product reaching the consumer in the shape and condition that it's supposed to? We're going to see a continued focus on end to end traceability and supplier oversight. We have several regulations that have come in effect in the last year, whether that be the EUDR or some of the US regulations on traceability. So ensuring that goods can be traced all the way back to the farm, if it's made from cotton, the quartz mine, whatever that may be, we're going to be looking at, continuing to be looking at not just the tier one, but tier two to three suppliers to ensure that uh, our clients are able to trace back their product as far back as possible. Supplier quality is going to continue to be an important internal manufacturing point that needs to be monitored. We're also going to see that evolution of workforce skills is going to impact our factories, whether that be retention or lack of retention, as workers are not returning to factories or replacing factory work with something that isn't so demanding. We're going to see the workforce have to adapt to continued increasing use of automation and how that impacts the workers on the factory floor. Is AI going to be introduced to manufacturing? I think that's much longer trend that we're going to have to worry about than in 2026. But definitely the things that we're going to see and need to be aware of the most are the evolution of the workforce skills, sustainability, and how that impacts not only the product itself, but the packaging that is used to deliver the product and then that traceability. Those are going to be the biggest trends I think that we are going to focus on, need to focus on in 2026.
Yeah, we've definitely seen a focus from our clients on uh, traceability and looking at their suppliers in further up in the supply chain tier, not just tier one, but two, three, and so on. And that's an interesting point about the evolution of the workforce and how changes in skills and technology might impact things there. But with all these trends in mind, what steps should importers really be taking to ensure quality and compliance in the coming year?
Steps that companies can take to ensure quality and compliance in the coming year, I think, can begin at the very beginning. Embed quality early in the product development stage. Integrate quality checkpoints into the design, sourcing, and prototype or sample phase. Perform durability, safety, and regulatory testing before final production begins. I think that often I've said over the years that quality begins with the buy. Well, now embedding quality into the design state at the very beginning embodies that statement that I've used over the years. Enhance regulatory readiness, ensuring that your factories are capable of tracing back the components that are used in the products that they develop for you. Conduct traceability audits as part of your audit program. Audits continue to be used today to verify quality, capability, capacity, social audit, and environmental compliance. And as we look at how needs change in the future, ensuring that a factory is able to trace back their products and the components of their product if needed, unfortunately, due to a recall or something like that. Which leads me into my next point and step is to strengthen end-to-end traceability and supplier compliance. Historically, quality was focused on only the factory producing the product. Now we're looking at supplier tiers, tier one to tier two to three, for materials, packaging, the source of the cotton or the minerals that are being used, requiring digital traceability tools on your product, whether that be QR codes, RFID, or batch tracking. I mentioned earlier, including audit, recall, and traceability as part of audits. So making sure that your audits are risk-based and include the elements that are important to you and your quality program. So the steps to ensure quality and compliance in the coming year are going to begin at the very beginning. embed quality control in your product development, strengthen your end-to-end traceability and supplier compliance, prepare for sustainability and packaging regulation, which go hand in hand, expand your regulatory readiness. So there's going to be a lot of focus on regulatory, which begins at the very beginning. Knowing at the very beginning when you design and are going through the different steps of developing your product, all the regulatory compliance will save a lot of missteps down the road.
Okay, great. Well, I think those are some good tips, Andy. I think there's really a lot for importers to be thinking about. We're in a very fast changing world here. So thank you for joining me to share your insights. And thank you to our viewer for joining us today on Supply Chain Signals, brought to you by Insight Quality Services. And if you want to, in the coming year, conduct inspections, audits of any type, like traceability or environmental, whatever your needs are, or you need testing management that is custom tailored to the needs of your business, be sure to reach out to us. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And we look forward to seeing you again in 2026. So take care.